Hey guys, it's Gabby, and today I'm going to be reviewing the recently released Midnight Sun novel by Stephenie Meyer. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start this off by saying that this book is a 10 out of 10. I think you really should read it. Honestly, even if you didn't like the original Twilight novels, I think that this will really change your mind. Because as we all know, the original Twilight Saga was written in Bella's point of view, so you really only got to see what she saw. You never really got to understand why the Cullens were the way that they were. And that's what Midnight Sun answers, truthfully, because we all know why, Bella's attracted to Edward and blah, blah, blah. But you never really get to understand why Edward is the way he is and why he tried to fight his attraction to Bella so hard. And this book really answers all our questions. I can't talk today. I also thought it was really interesting because Edward doesn't sleep, so this book is a lot bigger than the original Twilight novel. So, you really get to go through his mind and see what he's really thinking, especially because he can't read Bella's mind like he can everyone else, which I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to see how he was going to react to that. You also get to understand the Cullens more, not just Edward. One thing that really stood out to me was the fact that you really got to see why Rosalie hates Bella, especially in the first novel. Because I've never really understood why Rosalie truly disliked Bella so much. And I think this novel really answers that question. Because as we all know, Edward can read everyone's mind. So he knows what Rosalie went through and why she was changed and how she originally was killed. How someone attempted to kill her. So, and you truly understand why Rosalie doesn't like Bella and why she hates her for flirting with death, basically. Because Rosalie, as we all know, was raped and killed by her husband and his friends, and then was changed by Carlisle. And Rosalie truly mourns her human experience. She misses being human. And that's why she doesn't like Bella, is because Bella doesn't care for her mortality. And I thought it was really interesting to see, that relationship play out between Rosalie and Edward. I also really enjoyed the fact that there's a stronger relationship between Edward and Alice that we never really got to see. Because as we know, Alice can see the future and she can see all the different scenarios that play out when someone makes a decision. And Edward kind of has that gift also because he can read Alice's mind. He can see what she sees. So I thought it was really cool to see that specifically because you really got to understand Alice more as well. You also got to understand Carlisle and Esme and Emmett, who is the true comic relief of this entire novel. He is so funny. Everyone loved him from the original Twilight novel because he was so funny, especially with Bella. And now you really get to see what he thinks, and I thought that was so cool. I honestly thought this novel was just so good. I really was very skeptical about it because I remember when Stephenie posted the first 250 pages of it on her website, and I fell in love with it, and then I kind of forgot about it until now. And, I've always loved Stephenie's writing. She's such a talented writer. She knows how to carry a story. And that's the one thing I really liked about it. It was that I finished this book in 5 days because it came out August 4th and I finished it August 9th. So I remember staying up late and reading it and then checking the time and being like, whoa, because you kind of get lost in it, which I really love. And that's what I love about the Twilight novels in the first place, was that you could truly get lost in this beautiful story about these two unlikely people who meet and fall in love. And normally I'm not a huge fan of the falling in love type of bullshit, but the Twilight novels are a different kind of creature, and I think Midnight Sun was a really great addition to the entire saga. There are some parts of the book that I thought really stood out to me, and one of them was right after Bella was attacked by James in the ballet studio, and they're in a stolen car driving Bella to the hospital, and Edward is in the back seat with Emmett and Jasper. No, he's in the back seat with Emmett, Carlisle, and Bella laying across all of them. Jasper is driving and Alice is in the passenger seat. And Alice is going through the future and paying attention to every single little detail on how she is going to make their story real. Because, you know, the story that they told everyone was that Bella fell down 2 flights of stairs and crashed into a window. And Alice is going through the future on how she's gonna steal the bags of blood from the hospital, go to the hotel, rent out 2 rooms, trash a stairwell, break a window, and she's paying attention to all these little details and going back and restarting this vision at least 3 times. All while they're still on the drive to the hospital. I thought that was so cool because you're like, wow, this is going so fast. And then you go back and they're still in the car, which I thought was so cool. It was so interesting. And it was so brilliant on Stephanie's part to include that because they never touched on the fact on how they got that story to be so believable. Because I truly was like, how in the world are they going to convince police, doctors, and Bella's entire family that she fell down 2 flights of stairs and flew out a window, even though she is very clumsy? There was also another part, and I want to read to you guys the part that really stood out to me. I have it paper clipped, but this part honestly made me cry. So I'm just going to read it to you and then explain it. So this is on page 613. This is when Bella is in the hospital and Edward is there, and he is currently in a chapel. There was no God that I belonged to, no one for me to supplicate. Carlyle had different ideas, and maybe, just maybe, an exception could be made for someone like him. But I wasn't like him. I was staying like all the rest of our kind. Instead, I prayed to her God, because if there was some higher benevolent power in her universe, then surely he or she or it would have to be concerned about this bravest and kindest daughter. If not, there was really no purpose to any such entity. I had to believe she mattered to that distant God if one existed at all. Now, as I said before, this is the original Twilight novel rewritten. So I knew what was going to happen. Everyone knows what's going to happen. But that part truly touched me in a way that I didn't think was going to happen. And that's why I'm really in love with this book and why I really think you should read it. Because Edward sees himself as this demon, this creature that doesn't deserve anything, that deserves to just be alone and be the horrible thing that he is. And he cares so much about this one human girl that he's going against everything he believes in to make sure that she's safe and she's okay. And that, I think, was the fact that truly made me fall in love with this book and this whole story again. So, I mean, if you had a Twilight phase, I definitely recommend reading this book. If you didn't, I still recommend reading this book. It's just so good. I mean, it is a really big novel. It's 662 pages, but I'm speechless at how this book is. Because, as I said, you know what happens if you read the original Twilight novel. You know what happens. But there are still moments where you're like, what is going on? How are they going to get through this? Even though you know what's going to happen, which I think was genius. And Stephenie Meyer is so talented, and I am so grateful that she finally released this book. I will probably read it a ton more times. And it's so good, so I really recommend it. All right, that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will link the Midnight Sun novel down in the description. I also wanted to bring this to light because I decided to create this petition. On May 6th, I lost one of my close friends. Her name was Paige Golden, to some health complications, and she was taken way too soon. And I believe that my community deserves this day of remembrance. So I will be linking that petition down below, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could go sign it and share it. She deserves it. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and recommend any novels that you would like me to read and post a review on. Put them down in the comments and I'll be sure to check them out. All right, bye guys.